Good afternoon. This is All India Radio. I am Valsa Williams and with me is Abhishek Mukhopadhyay with the Midday News. The headlines. Polling progressing smoothly for fourth phase of assembly elections in Uttar Pradesh. About 37.45% voter turnout recorded till 1 p.m. Campaigning gains momentum for the rest of the phases of polling in Uttar Pradesh and Manipur. Prime Minister Narendra Modi addresses webinar on budget announcements in rural development sector, asks state governments to work with timeline for linking land records and demarcation solutions with modern technology. India's COVID vaccination coverage crosses 176 crore 19 lakh mark. Recovery rate improves to 98.42%. Minister of State for External Affairs and Culture Meenakshi Lekhi inaugurates 3-day-long craft mela in New Delhi. In Jammu and Kashmir, life thrown out of gear in the Kashmir Valley as most areas receive heavy snowfall. Chief of Army Staff General M.M. Naravane presents presidential colours to 4 parachute battalions at Parachute Regiment Training Centre in Bengaluru. Russian President Vladimir Putin says Moscow is ready to look for diplomatic solutions amid raging tensions with the West over Ukraine. Russian envoy expresses hope that India-Russia partnership will continue at the current level. And in cricket, India-Sri Lanka 3-match T20 international series begins in Lucknow tomorrow. With the new Omicron variant of coronavirus causing concern, we appeal to our listeners to be vigilant and to get fully vaccinated and help others, including children between 15 and 18 years, to get vaccinated. Please continue to follow these 3 simple steps to stay safe. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki doori for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. For any COVID-related information and guidance, contact National Helpline number 01123978046 and 1075. And other news in detail. In Uttar Pradesh, in the 4th phase of assembly elections, an average voter turnout of 37.45% has been registered till 1 p.m. The polling is progressing smoothly. Voting will be conducted till 6 p.m. in the 59 assembly constituencies that go to polls today. To get more updates, let's go live to our Lucknow correspondent. Sushil, how is the polling progressing in the day for the present phase? And do you see any difference in the pattern of voting?
Well, Valsa, I am at the BKT Inter-College, the polling booth at the Government Inter-College. This is Bakshi Ka Talab constituency from where BJP's Yogesh Shukla is fighting, and former BJP MLA from this region who is now a turncoat and contesting on a Samajwadi Party candidate, Gomti Yadav, is pitted against him. People are coming in large numbers to cast their votes, especially youth, first-time voters. They are quite enthusiastic after casting their vote. They are showing their pictures, they are taking selfies that are proof of their participation in the democracy. And we have seen long queues from the morning. That was quite opposite, quite contrary from the last phase. And many VIP candidates are also in fray in this phase of elections, like Nitin Agrawal, who was in Samajwadi Party but now contesting on BJP ticket. Many ministers like Ashutosh Tandon, Brajesh Pathak, Jai Pratap Singh Jacky. Many Congress candidates are also in the fray. Bahujan Samaj Party candidate Gaya Charan Dinkar, Asha Singh contesting from Unnao district, Aditi Singh who was in Congress last time but now contesting on BJP ticket. Valsa?
Right, Sushil, could you outline for us what special arrangements have been made in the polling booths?
Well, Election Commission has made elaborate security arrangements in this phase also. More than 3,800 polling booths have been termed critical, and heavy security arrangements are there. More than 7,000 police personnel of state police have been deployed on the polling booths, and more than 880 companies of paramilitary forces are there on the polling booths in this phase of elections. And Election Commission is also monitoring the sensitive areas. DM and SSP, Superintendent of Police, reviewing the security situation. They are continuously watching the situation. Live webcasting is going on. So polling is going on peacefully and all the security arrangements are in place. Valsad.
Thank you, Sushil, for those details. That was our correspondent, Sushil Tiwari, reporting on the elections in Uttar Pradesh. In poll-bound Uttar Pradesh, electoral campaign for the seventh phase assembly elections has intensified further. The poll campaign for the subsequent phases in UP and two-phase polling in Manipur has picked up momentum. We have a report.
Star campaigners and prominent leaders of various political parties are engaged in public rallies, and door-to-door canvassing and virtual appeals to the voter are also continuing. The fifth phase of polling in Uttar Pradesh will be conducted on 27th of February in 61 assembly constituencies from 12 districts. The electoral scenario in the fifth phase of assembly election in Uttar Pradesh indicates that there are total 692 candidates in fray for 61 assembly seats. During the first phase of assembly election in Manipur, 38 seats from 6 districts will go to polls on 28th of February. There are 173 candidates, including 15 women, are in fray for 38 seats in first phase. The sixth phase of polling in Uttar Pradesh will be conducted on 3rd of March in 57 assembly constituencies. In the second phase of assembly election in Manipur, 22 seats spread over 10 districts will go to polls on 5th of March. There are 92 candidates, including 2 women, are contesting for 22 seats in the second phase. The seventh phase of polling in Uttar Pradesh will be conducted on 7th of next month in 54 assembly constituencies from 9 districts. In view of decline in COVID-19 cases, the Election Commission has relaxed restriction of using only 50% capacity of space for political meetings and rallies. The poll body has also allowed roadshows subject to STMA regulations and with the prior permission of the concerned district authorities. All other existing provisions related to electioneering shall continue to be in force. Manal Said, Election Desk.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi today said Union Budget 2022 has laid a specific roadmap for development of rural areas, northeast and aspirational districts.
इस बजट में सरकार द्वारा सैचुरेशन के इस बड़े लक्ष्य को हासिल करने के लिए एक स्पष्ट रोड मैप दिया गया है। बजट में पीएम आवास योजना, ग्रामीण सड़क योजना, जल जीवन मिशन, नॉर्थ ईस्ट की कनेक्टिविटी, गांवों की ब्रॉडबैंड कनेक्टिविटी, ऐसी हर योजना के लिए जरूरी प्रावधान किया गया है।
Addressing a webinar on budget announcements in rural development sector, Prime Minister stressed on the need to sketch a new image of rural India by educating the rural population on new age technologies for farmers and new methods of farming. He said digitization of land records and connecting the efforts of demarcation with technology is the need of the hour.
गांवों के विकास में वहां घर और जमीन की प्रॉपर डिमार्केशन बहुत आवश्यक है। स्वामित्व योजना से इसमें बहुत मदद मिल रही है। अभी तक इसके तहत 40 लाख से अधिक प्रॉपर्टी कार्ड्स जारी किए जा चुके हैं। लैंड रिकॉर्ड्स के रजिस्ट्रेशन के लिए एक नेशनल सिस्टम और एक यूनिक लैंड आइडेंटिफिकेशन पिन एक बहुत बड़ी सुविधा होगी। रेवेन्यू डिपार्टमेंट पर सामान्य ग्रामीण की निर्भरता कम से कम हो, हमें ये सुनिश्चित करना है। लैंड रिकॉर्ड्स के डिजिटाइजेशन और डिमार्केशन से जुड़े समाधानों को आधुनिक टेक्नोलॉजी से जोड़ना आज की जरूरत है।
Prime Minister said broadband connectivity will not only provide facilities in the villages but will also help in creating a large pool of skilled youth in the villages. He also emphasized the need for proper awareness regarding proper use of the broadband capabilities where the work is already completed. Mr. Modi said the Vibrant Village program announced in the budget is very important for the development of the country's border villages. Mr. Modi said Nari Shakti is a major pillar of the rural economy and financial inclusion has ensured greater participation of women in households and economic decisions. He said participation of women through self-help groups needs to be further expanded. Mr. Modi said Jan Dhan Yojana has ensured financial inclusion and has empowered women. Talking about the Jal Jeevan Mission, the Prime Minister asked the states to enhance the efforts.
जल जीवन मिशन के तहत लगभग 4 करोड़ कनेक्शन देने का टारगेट हमने रखा है। इस टारगेट को हासिल करने के लिए आपको अपनी मेहनत और बढ़ानी होगी। मेरा हर राज्य सरकार से ये भी आग्रह है कि जो पाइपलाइन बिछ रही है, जो पानी आ रहा है, उसकी क्वालिटी पर भी हमें बहुत ध्यान देने की जरूरत है। गांव के स्तर पर लोगों में एक सेंस ऑफ ओनरशिप आए, वाटर गवर्नेंस को बल मिले, ये भी इस योजना का एक लक्ष्य है। इन सभी बातों को ध्यान में रखते हुए हमें 2024 तक हर घर तक नल से जल पहुंचाना है।
Prime Minister suggested many ways of improving governance for rural development from his experience. He suggested that it will be helpful that all agencies responsible for rural issues should sit together on regular intervals to ensure synergy and coordination. Prime Minister reiterated the mantra of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas and Sabka Prayas as inspiration behind all the policies and actions of the government.
आजादी के अमृत काल के लिए जो संकल्प हमने लिए हैं वो सबके प्रयास से ही सिद्ध हो सकते हैं। सबका प्रयास तभी संभव है जब विकास सबका होगा। देश के हर नागरिक हर क्षेत्र के सामर्थ्य को बढ़ाने के लिए निरंतर प्रयास कर रहे हैं। देश के गांव और गरीब को पक्के घर, टॉयलेट्स, गैस, बिजली, पानी, सड़क जैसी बेसिक सुविधाओं से जोड़ने की योजनाओं का मकसद यही है। देश ने इनमें बहुत सफलता भी पाई है, लेकिन अब समय है इनके 100% लक्ष्यों को हासिल करने का।
The Chief of Army Staff General M.M. Narvane presented the presidential colours to the 4 parachute battalions at the Parachute Regiment Training Centre in Bangalore today. The new colours venerated by the forces were presented to 11 Para-Special Forces, 21 Para-Special Forces, 23 Para and 29 Para battalions. Addressing the military personnel, General M.M. Narvane recalled the valour, courage and bravery of the battalions which received the new colours today.
Deputy Chief of Mission of Russian Embassy in India, Roman Babushkin, has expressed hope that India-Russia partnership will continue at the same level as it is currently. He said India and Russia have a lot of big projects in the pipeline and exuded confidence that all plans will be successfully implemented. Briefing media in Delhi on sanctions against Russia and its impact on cooperation with India, the Deputy Chief of Mission mentioned the outcomes of recent Russian-Indian bilateral summit in December last year. He said both countries signed the program of 10 years cooperation in the area of defense on the sidelines of the summit. Russian President Vladimir Putin has said that Moscow is ready to look for diplomatic solutions amid raging tensions with the West over Ukraine, but stressed that the country's interests were non-negotiable. Putin said this in a video address to mark the Defender of the Fatherland Day today. He said Russia is always open for direct and honest dialogue for the search of diplomatic solutions to the most complex problems. In a related development, New Zealand's government today summoned Russian Ambassador George A. Zuev to meet with top diplomatic officials who are urging Russia to return to diplomatic negotiations over Ukraine. New Zealand's neighbour, Australia, announced sanctions on 8 of President Vladimir Putin's top security advisers. Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State Tony Blinken has cancelled his scheduled meeting with his Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov later this week in protest against Russia's stand on Ukraine.
India's COVID vaccination coverage has crossed 176 crore 19 lakh. More than 33 lakh 84,000 vaccine doses were administered in the last 24 hours. The recovery rate currently stands at 98.42%. Over 31,300 patients recovered in the last 24 hours. A total of 15,102 new cases have been reported. India's active caseload currently stands at over 1,64,000. Health Ministry today said that more than 172 crore 68 lakh vaccine doses have been provided to states and UTs so far through Centres Free of Cost channel and through direct state procurement category. It said more than 10 crore 98 lakh balance and unutilized COVID vaccine doses are still available with the states and UTs to be administered.
Chief Minister of Rajasthan Ashok Gehlot today presented the budget of the state for the financial year 2022-23. For the first time, a separate agri-budget has been presented in the State Assembly. During the budget speech, the Chief Minister declared that 1 lakh additional posts will be filled in the state. He announced the formation of Rajasthan Industrial Security Force and appointment of 2,000 security personnel for it. He proposed for 100 days employment in urban areas, also under Indira Gandhi Shehri Rozgar Guarantee Yojana under Manrega. He said employment days will be increased to 125 days instead of 100 days. For power consumers, electricity up to 50 units per month will be provided free. The Women and Child Development Ministry has extended the PM Cares for Children scheme till the end of this month. Earlier, the scheme was valid till the 31st of December 2021. All states and union territories have been asked to identify and register eligible children on the portal. Prime Minister Narendra Modi had announced comprehensive support last year for children who have lost both their parents due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Any citizen can inform the administration regarding a child eligible for support under this scheme through the portal.
You are listening to the Midday News on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Polling progressing smoothly for the fourth phase of assembly elections in Uttar Pradesh. About 37.45% voter turnout recorded till 1 p.m. Campaigning gains momentum for the rest of the phases of polling in Uttar Pradesh and Manipur. Prime Minister Narendra Modi addresses webinar on budget announcements and rural development sector. Asks state governments to work with timeline for linking land records and demarcation solutions with modern technology. India's COVID vaccination coverage crosses 176 crore 19 lakh mark. Recovery rate improves to 98.42%. Minister of State for External Affairs and Culture Meenakshi Lekhi inaugurates 3-day-long craft mela in New Delhi. In Jammu and Kashmir, life thrown out of gear in the Kashmir Valley as most areas receive heavy snowfall. Chief of the Army Staff General M.M. Narvane presents presidential colours to 4 parachute battalions at Parachute Regiment Training Centre in Bangalore. Russian President Vladimir Putin says Moscow is ready to look for diplomatic solutions amid raging tensions with the West over Ukraine. Russian envoy expresses hope that India-Russia partnership will continue at the current level. And in cricket, India-Sri Lanka 3-match T20 International Series begins in Lucknow tomorrow. And for quick news updates around the clock, follow us on a Twitter handle @AIR News Alerts.
Welcome back to the Midday News. Minister of State for External Affairs and Culture Meenakshi Lekhi inaugurated a 3-day-long craft mela today being organized by the Indian Council for Cultural Relations ICCR in New Delhi. This fair is part of the ongoing week-long celebrations of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav by the Ministry of External Affairs, which is being organized exclusively for the diplomatic community. The inauguration marked the presence of about 70 to 75 heads of foreign missions in India and few Indian dignitaries. Speaking on the occasion, Ms. Lekhi said organizing a craft mela which celebrates India's arts and crafts is an apt way of celebrating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Our correspondent reports that 22 craftsmen from 11 states are exhibiting bamboo art, textiles, traditional and folk art, beauty aromatics and recycled products, and will give demonstrations of their skills or show videos to visitors. Minister of Development of North East Region G. Kishan Reddy has said there is immense potential for micro, small and medium enterprises, MSMEs in the North East, be it agriculture, food processing, tourism, mineral-based industries, IT or infrastructure. He said this huge potential needs to be tapped for bringing about inclusive development in the region. He was addressing the Northeast MSME Conclave, Building Competitiveness for Leveraging Opportunities. Organized by the Confederation of Indian Industries, the minister emphasized that the MSMEs will play a critical role for the nation's economic growth over the next 25 years of Amrit Kal. He said the centre has remained committed towards empowering the MSMEs, and the recent budget has given a further push to make them more competitive. The minister urged that to achieve the goal of overall development, it is pertinent that all stakeholders, including the MSMEs, need to work together to embark on a vibrant journey to realize the dreams of a better future.
Maharashtra Cabinet Minister Nawab Malik has been questioned by the Enforcement Directorate today in Mumbai in connection with money laundering case into the activities of fugitive gangster Dawood Ibrahim and his aides. The ED money laundering case against Ibrahim and his aides is based on the fresh case filed with the National Investigation Agency earlier this month under the stringent Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. And now let's listen to a special program, Azadi Ka Safar, highlighting the importance of the day during the freedom struggle.
Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav.
Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. Birth of a Nation. India's glorious freedom struggle is one of the greatest struggles the modern world has ever witnessed. AIR News brings you a glimpse of the struggle every day.
In today's episode, we remember social reformer Gadge Maharaj, who was born on the 23rd of February 1876 in Amravati district, Maharashtra. A public teacher, he wandered to different villages wearing his food pan upturned on his head and carrying his trademark broom. When he entered a village, he would instantly start cleaning the gutters and roads of the village. From the money that villagers used to give him, he built educational institutions, dharamshalas, hospitals and animal shelters.
Gadge Baba was highly influenced by Dr. Babasaheb Bhimrao Ambedkar. He donated the building of his hostel at Pandharpur to the People's Education Society founded by Dr. Ambedkar. He used to cite the example of Ambedkar while urging the people to get educated, and said that education is not the monopoly of any class or caste. Baba Sahib also used to meet him frequently and had described him as the greatest servant of the people after Jyotirao Phule. We salute the great social reformer.
We also remember freedom fighters Ismail Khan and Abdul Ghani, who were martyred on the 23rd of February 1915 during the Singapore uprising. They were soldiers in the 5th Light Infantry Regiment of the British Indian Army at Singapore. On the 15th of February 1915, their regiment was getting ready to embark on a voyage to Hong Kong from Singapore. From there, they were to be sent against their will to Europe to take part in the action against Germany during the First World War.
Ismail Khan, who was influenced by the Ghadar movement, fired at an ammunition lorry from the quarter guard near Alexandra Barracks. Abdul Ghani and other Indian soldiers also joined him, killing many British officials and European civilians. Following a violent clash, the soldiers, who mostly belonged to the regions of Punjab and Haryana, were captured. They were charged with having broken oath as soldiers of the Crown and sentenced to be shot dead. 23 Indian soldiers were placed against the stakes under the open sky and shot dead on the 23rd of February 1915. We salute the great martyrs.
We also remember martyr Abdul Ali, who died while participating in a demonstration in support of the Royal Indian Navy Ratings Rebellion on the 23rd of February 1946.
The ratings of the Royal Indian Navy battleship HMIS Talwar, docked at Bombay, went on strike on the 18th of February 1946 over the issues of bad food and adverse living conditions. Following their capture of the naval trucks, the ratings went all out to urge the people of Bombay to rise in support of their uprising, which was spread to 78 ships and 22 units all along the Indian coastline.
In response to their call, several processions were taken out in Bombay. Abdul Ali received severe bullet wounds in the British police firing on a demonstration he took part in Bombay on the 23rd of February 1946 and died on the same day. We salute the great son of the soil. That brings us to the end of this episode of Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. See you in the next episode tomorrow.
स्वाधीनता संग्राम के वे निशान जो साक्षी हैं हमारे सेनानियों के संघर्ष और बलिदान के। आकाशवाणी समाचार ला रहा है विशेष श्रृंखला निशान। हर बुधवार को शाम 4:45 पर कार्यक्रम परिक्रमा में FM गोल्ड 100.1 मेगाहर्ट्ज पर।
In the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, life was thrown out of gear across Kashmir today as most areas of the valley, including Srinagar city, received heavy snowfall. More from our Srinagar correspondent.
The Kashmir Valley on Wednesday morning woke up to a heavy blanket of snowfall which disrupted the normal life of the people. Flight operations, surface transport and routine activities of life came to a grinding halt in Kashmir. As of now, it has been continuously snowing in the entire Kashmir Valley and around 7 inches of snow has accumulated in Srinagar city. Flight operations from Srinagar International Airport are being delayed as visibility at the runway has dropped to less than 400 meters. Train services from Banihal to Baramulla have also been suspended, while multiple landslides and the snowfall at various places have forced the administration to block various highways, including Mughal Road and Jammu-Srinagar National Highway. Meanwhile, helpline numbers have been set up by the Divisional Administration of Kashmir. Sunil Kohl, AIR News, Srinagar.
The documentary Writing with Fire is one of the final 5 contenders for the Best Documentary Feature category at the Oscars.
The film, Writing with Fire, narrates the story of women journalists of India's all-female Khabar Lahariya News Wave newspaper who risk it all, including their own safety, to cover the country's political, social and local news from a women-powered perspective. The film won Audience and Jury Award at the Sundance Film Festival last year. The film, which is yet to hit the Indian screens, has already secured sales in more than 20 countries for theatrical and TV release. The film is produced by Ticket Films and directed by first-time filmmakers Rintu Thomas and Sushmeet Ghosh. Khabar Lahariya was founded in May 2002 in Chitrakoot, Uttar Pradesh. The regional newspaper majorly focuses on stories based in the grassroots and stories on gender parity. Diksha Saxena, AIR News, Delhi.
Team India will face Sri Lanka in the first T20 international encounter of the 3-match series tomorrow at the Bharat Ratna Atal Bihari Vajpayee Ikana Cricket Stadium in Lucknow. The play will start at 7 p.m. Rohit Sharma will lead the team and Dasun Shanaka will take command of the Sri Lankan T20 squad. In terms of numbers, India is listed at the 2nd position of the T20I ICC ranking, whereas Sri Lanka is sitting at the 9th position, which proves India is in a very good form as compared to Sri Lanka. The 2nd and the 3rd T20 International will be played on the 26th and 27th at the Himachal Pradesh Cricket Association Stadium in Dharmshala.
Now a quick look at the weather forecast for today. National capital will have strong surface winds during daytime. Mumbai will have mainly clear sky. Chennai likely to have partly cloudy sky. Kolkata will have partly cloudy sky. And now before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Polling progressing smoothly for 4th phase of assembly elections in Uttar Pradesh. About 37.45% voter turnout recorded till 1 p.m. Campaigning gains momentum for the rest of the phases of polling in Uttar Pradesh and Manipur. Prime Minister Narendra Modi addresses webinar on budget announcements in rural development sector, asks state governments to work with timeline for linking land records and demarcation solutions with modern technology. India's COVID vaccination coverage crosses 176 crore 19 lakh mark. Recovery rate improves to 98.42%. Minister of State for External Affairs and Culture Meenakshi Lekhi inaugurates 3-day-long craft mela in New Delhi. In Jammu and Kashmir, life thrown out of gear in Kashmir Valley as most areas receive heavy snowfall. Chief of Army Staff General M.M. Naravane presents presidential colours to 4 parachute battalions at Parachute Regiment Training Centre in Bengaluru. Russian President Vladimir Putin says Moscow is ready to look for diplomatic solutions amid raging tensions with the West over Ukraine. And with that, we end the midday news.